Today on Public Eye News, a rollover crash in Rapid River and a mistake on Michigan absentee ballots.
Later in the show, Brady Hinshaw will have your weather and Devontae Stein will have your sports update for the day. I'm Scott Minshaw.
I'm Devontae Stein, and welcome to Public Eye News. A couple weeks ago, Michigan State Police found a puppy mill in Rock and seized over 134 dogs, which were all taken to the Delta Animal Shelter. Since then, more than 60 puppies have been born. During it all, the community has rallied together to help the shelter. The Dewdrop Family Restaurant, through raffles, donations, and a percentage of its sales, donated a check to the animal shelter for more than $4,300. Director of the Delta Animal Shelter, Sue Gartland, said, quote, "The support of the community in places like the Dewdrop mean the world to the animal shelter and all the animals that are currently housed here. There's a great community project to be able to say we're going to save every single one," end quote. The investigation is still open, so the dogs are still not up for adoption, but the shelter looks forward to finding homes for all 200-plus dogs. St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Ishpeming is hosting its 78th annual Fall Festival this Saturday, the 19th, in the church parking lot. COVID-19 regulations will be observed in place, as the tables will be socially distanced and masks are encouraged. Fall Festival will have numerous events such as a white elephant gift market, a cookout, canned bottle drive, flat screen TV raffle, and a Hershey Kisses guessing jar where the winner leaves with the whole jar of chocolate. The festival is a great way for the residents of Ishpeming to stop by, mingle, and have some fun to support the community.
It is now mid-September, which means there's not much nice weather left this year up here in the UP. If you're looking to take advantage of the few nice days we have left, check out the Lake Bancroft Art Craft Fair this Saturday from 10 to 6. There will be a variety of vendors present with a number of local crafts like jewelry, rockwork, woodcraft, and of course the famous Croatian chicken from Gwyn. Social distancing will be observed, and attendees are encouraged to wear masks, especially if they're going to be close contact with members outside of their household. Bob Hendrickson, the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce, was excited regarding the fair, saying, quote, "There's going to be a wide variety of different items that people can shop around at," end quote. 2 people were injured in a multi-vehicle crash in Rapid River, Michigan Thursday morning. Investigations show that a 72-year-old Escanaba man was traveling southbound on US 41 when he failed to stop at an intersection. The vehicle entered the intersection and struck a westbound vehicle driven by a 60-year-old Rapid River man. The collision caused the westbound vehicle to roll over multiple times, eventually settling on its tires. The southbound vehicle continued south across the roadway, striking several road stop signs before coming to a stop. Both drivers suffered severe but non-life-threatening injuries and were transported to the hospital from the scene. Alcohol is believed to be a contributing factor in the crash.
The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services announced an expansion of state assistance and reimbursement in an effort to help Homes for the Aged conduct regular testing for COVID-19. HFAs provide room and board and personal care to individuals ages 55 or older, according to a press release from the Michigan State Police. Due to the risk of outbreak in long-term care facilities and severe health outcomes caused by COVID-19 among the elderly, it is imperative that HFAs provide routine testing to identify and quickly contain spread. In order to implement this more testing and guidelines, the MDHHS is providing reimbursement along with expanded testing and assistance. HFAs that conduct COVID-19 testing will be eligible for reimbursement of laboratory costs not covered by insurance or other types of state assistance. Local election clerks in Michigan downloading absentee ballots for residents were given ballots that listed Trump's Republican running mate as Jerry Cohen, who was the Libertarian Party candidate for vice president. Vice President Mike Pence was not on the ballot next to Trump. Cohen is running with George Jorgensen. Quote, "It is a very temporary error that was fixed within 90 minutes, end quote, said Tracy Wimmer, a spokesperson for Michigan Secretary of State. She continued on by saying, quote, "Approximately 400 ballots were downloaded by clerks during this period. We don't know how many were sent. If a voter does happen to return the incorrect ballot instead of the correct ballot, it will still count. The clerk will be instructed to duplicate a vote for Trump onto ballot for Trump and Pence," end quote. And after this break, we will have your national and international news.
I've been around the world, but there's one place I keep coming back to. On this UTR, it's Scottville for a Woody Wolf's Den, mounds of mushrooms, and a band that likes to clown around. Then we hit Lansing for a cool zoo for you, an urban paddle, and 4 great places to please your palate. This isn't under the radar. You just gotta see.
Thursday at 9:30 p.m. on WNMU-TV.
Welcome back. As the fires continues to rage across the West Coast, the resources and efforts are becoming more limited. Firefighters like Justin Silvera, a 43-year-old battalion chief who has just came off of the front lines after 36 straight days fighting fires in Northern California, is only getting a 24-hour rest before being sent up towards Oregon to continue fighting. The fires are spreading at such rapid rates that firefighters are not able to quell fires before another erupts. Containment and slowly pushing back on the fires as they continue to expand is the main strategy firefighters are using on the West Coast. But lacking the resources they need has made it extremely difficult. There is currently no end to the fires in sight. Hurricane Sally remains a powerful, slow-moving storm, triggering potentially historic flooding in the Gulf Coast. Alabama and the Florida Panhandle are getting huge amounts of rain and sustained winds of 105 miles per hour. Hundreds of thousands are without power. Nancy Chen has the latest from Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
Hurricane Sally came ashore early this morning, lashing coastal Alabama and the Florida Panhandle with torrential rain and punishing winds.
Wow, this hurricane is no joke.
The slow-moving storm strengthened into a Category 2 overnight, with winds of 100 miles per hour, ripping apart homes like this one in Mobile. The rain has been so relentless, it punched holes into this gas station shelter. This Alabama resident evacuated to a hotel and worries about what he'll go home to.
Worried about the trees, maybe taking my roof off or something like that. You know, that's the reason I left and came here.
On Dauphin Island, Alabama, the storm shredded an RV, ripped the wall off this building, and nearly toppled this structure. Parts of Florida are already seeing extensive damage as Sally whipped up waves and triggered flash flooding.
You can see how flooded these roads are because of this relentless rain as Hurricane Sally has hit us here in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. As the hurricane made landfall, it also triggered both tornado and flash flood warnings here.
Sally is expected to dump rain from Florida to Mississippi, which could lead to damaging storm surge and historic flooding in the region.
This one is just so sporadic. It's just Sally's all over the place.
Louisiana also felt the effects of Sally. Storm surge overcame levees in St. Bernard Parish. Hundreds of thousands of homes and businesses in Florida and Alabama are without power, and the full extent of damage won't be known until Sally moves farther inland. Nancy Chen, CBS News, Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and his cabinet have resigned. Abe is Japan's longest-serving prime minister. He announced he was stepping down due to health problems. Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga was chosen as the new head of governing Liberal Democratic Party, virtually guaranteeing his election as prime minister because of the party's majority. Suga has stressed his background in promising to serve the interests of ordinary people in rural communities. He said that he will pursue Abe's unfinished policies, but his top priority right now will be fighting coronavirus and turning around an economy that has taken a hit during the pandemic. The new prime minister will inherit a range of challenges, including relations with China and the Tokyo Olympics, which were postponed to next summer due to the coronavirus. He will also have to establish a good relationship with whomever wins the U.S. presidential race. For the first time ever, hip-hop took center stage at the Sotheby's Auction House in New York. Last night's auction, more than 120 items from the history of hip-hop brought in $2 million. Vlad Duthier shows some of the legendary pieces in the sale.
Sotheby's might not be the first place you'd expect to see memorabilia from the Notorious B.I.G., Slick Rick, or the Wu-Tang Clan. But on Tuesday, it became the first major international auction house to dedicate an entire collection to hip-hop. One of the most prized possessions, the crown that Biggie Smalls wore in the famous 1997 King of New York photo shoot. It sold for nearly $600,000, double what was anticipated.
For Sotheby's and the art market, it's extremely significant.
Sotheby's senior specialist Cassandra Hatton has been working on this collection for more than 2 years.
I just said, I'm doing this is important, and nobody stopped me.
The auction reflects on hip-hop's fashion, design, art, and pop culture influence from the late 1970s to mid-1990s and present day. Over 120 items were for sale, ranging from contemporary art to photography and jewelry. Also included, Salt and Peppa's Push It jacket, 22 love letters written by Tupac Shakur to his high school sweetheart, and Fab Five Freddy's gold and diamond MTV ring.
For us, this was about celebrating the culture, celebrating the people who created the culture, and so we were happy to share their names and share the sources of where all of this material came from, because again, it came directly from the artists.
Biggie was killed just 3 days after the iconic Crown photo shoot. It was the last ever picture taken of him
which is why the crown went so high. A portion of the proceeds will go to the Queens Public Library hip-hop programs and community nonprofit Building Beats. Vladimir Jutip, CBS News, New York.
After this break, we'll be back with your weather and sports.
Today, it's not your computer that hackers are most eager to target, it's your mind. Everyone from marketers to politicians to governments knows how to break into the system and trigger a predictable mistake that is bad for us but great for them. And the last thing the hackers want is for you to understand how they do it and how to stop them. But we will clue you in on hacking your mind.
Tonight at 10 on WNMU-TV.
And welcome back. I am your weatherman, Brady Hinshaw, and behind me on this beautiful NMU campus, we've seen some clouds take over the sunlight, but looking at our current conditions, we have partly cloudy skies, temperature of 63 degrees, winds out the northwest at 15 miles an hour, with a barometric pressure of 29.94 and rising. Looking at tonight, we have some more partly cloudy skies with a low of 41. Winds out of the north at 15 miles an hour. Looking at tomorrow, we have some more partly cloudy skies with a high of 53 and winds out of the northwest at 12 miles an hour. Looking at the UP, it's partly cloudy everywhere except for Iron Mountain, which is fully cloudy. But looking at Sault Ste. Marie, it is 59, Manistee 66, Escanaba 68, Menominee 69. But looking at our western half, we have Iron Mountain at 65, Ironwood at 58, Houghton at 62, and beautiful Marquette, it is 63 degrees. Looking ahead, we have Friday a high of 53 and a low of 38 and partly cloudy. Saturday a high of 60, a low of 44 and partly cloudy. And Sunday we have a high of 64 and a low of 51 and sunny. And off to Devontae Stein with our sports.
Thanks, Brady. College football fans across the nation can celebrate today as the Big Ten is officially back for the 2020 season. Last month, the conference became one of the first to postpone its season until the spring, but due to mounting pressure from everyone from the fans to President Donald Trump, the conference held their revote and voted to move forward with the fall season. The season will begin on October 23rd and will include all schools in the conference, including the University of Michigan and Michigan State. Both of these schools had previously been strongly opposed to the idea of a fall season, but it appears as if they have changed their minds. And don't call it a comeback, but the Denver Nuggets battled it back against the LA Clippers, winning the series last night in a Game 7 after previously being down 3-1. Undoubtedly, the stars of the game series were Denver's Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Jokic and Murray both had monster performances in last night's games and are being praised by analysts and fellow players for their all-star level of play. The Nuggets will go on to face LeBron James and the LA Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. While this seems like a tough matchup for the mostly untested Nuggets, I wouldn't count them out as they're shown by their recent play. This team is full of surprises. The New York Islanders are starting to heat up against the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Islanders were down 3-1 in the series and now forced to Game 6 after beating the Lightning in a dramatic fashion last night. The Islanders were fighting to stay alive and pulled out a double overtime win. The winning goal was scored by Jordan Elbury and sent the series to a Game 6. The Islanders will play the Lightning again tomorrow at 8 p.m. If needed, Game 7 of the series will be on Saturday. And over to you to some other interesting news.
Well, certainly some interesting news out of Malaysia, where a student woke up to find his cell phone missing. The cell phone case was on the ground, but there was no evidence that someone had come into his room and took it. After his father noticed a monkey in the yard the next day, they decided to search outside, where they called the phone and found it buried in the mud. It was discovered on the phone there were selfies of a primate thief who had stolen the phone as he thought it was food, and captured the photos and videos of himself on the phone.
That's all the time we have today on Public Eye News. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.